This is our favorite corn queso recipe from our cookbook, and I'm going to show you how to make it. For this recipe, I encourage you to use Roma tomatoes because they have the least amount of moisture in them. But even still, you want to quarter it, and then you're going to cut the middle part out of the tomato so that you can discard the seeds and the center to ensure that we get as much moisture out of it as possible. I put all of it into our compost bowl, and that goes to feed the garden. And the rest of the tomato, I dice, and then I let it set in a strainer while we get the rest of the ingredients together. And I like to do them in small pieces because nobody wants to get a big scoop of queso, and it really is just a big piece of tomato. And then here they are. They're sitting in the strainer so they can continue to drain while we get our onion diced. Same thing goes for the onion. You want the pieces to be small because then when somebody gets a big scoop of queso, they get a little bit of that onion and tomato, the jalapeno. They get all of the goodness in one bite. So now that we have our onion all diced up, I'm going to put about a tablespoon of oil into our pan, and we're going to saute the onion. Get the onion sauteing. It takes about 5 minutes. We want it to be nice and like caramelized. So I used one whole red onion. I diced up the 4 Roma tomatoes. They're sitting and straining. Don't put your Roma tomatoes into the pan yet. The first thing that we want to do is we want to caramelize these onions, and then we're gonna get all the spices in there. While the onion is sauteing, we're gonna dice up our jalapeno and get our spices ready. And just a reminder, the spiciest part of the jalapeno is actually right here where the seeds are. So if you don't want your dip to be super spicy, cut that out, remove it, throw it in your compost bowl, and then your dip won't be too spicy for anybody. And then I cut it in thin slices, and then we're going to dice and then actually mince this because we want this jalapeno to be well dispersed into all the queso so it gives the entire dish lots of delicious flavor. Now it goes into the onions. The onions have been sauteing, so they don't look as deep purple anymore. They've gotten a little bit more translucent. We're adding in our spices. And did you know that when you add your spices into your pan and you give them a chance to toast, it actually enriches their flavor, makes them taste even better. Now, it's wintertime. We're making this in February for the Super Bowl. I can't really get fresh corn, so I'm going with frozen corn. But if you can get fresh corn, go ahead, use that. It makes the flavor even more delicious. And I allow this to saute until the corn is sizzling. And then once it is sizzling, then I add in the tomatoes. And the goal here isn't to saute this for a really long time. It really is just to cook off any of the extra moisture. So if you've used Roma tomatoes, there's probably not too much moisture. If I use fresh garden tomatoes, oh goodness, I have to saute this for much longer to get that extra moisture out. So push your mixture around the pan. If you don't see a lot of moisture in the pan, it is ready to go into the cheese. You can take it off of the burner, allow it to set while you get your cheese grated. Yes, as we're cooking, my family's gonna come in and out. Come here, Maddie, come say hi. Hi. This is our kitchen. This is where we do life. Are you happy we're making the creamy corn queso for Super Bowl?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
That I dislike the Chiefs more than Dad does.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna be honest. I don't actually watch the football games. They are faithful football watchers. I'm more here for the food, the hanging out, this is a great opportunity to have people come over and let's get together and eat delicious food and just enjoy life together. So I love football because it brings people together. She loves football because you like the game. Yeah. You like watching it. Yeah. The onions, tomatoes, corn, all of it. It's ready now. It's sauteed. All the spices are in there. I have all of my cheese grated. The other thing you want to do is have your cream cheese soft. Don't throw your cream cheese in here if it's not soft because, oh my, trying to mix hard cream cheese in, that is a challenge. One of the things that makes this recipe so delicious is that it's not just one type of cheese. You've got multiple types of cheese in here. Fontina is a very ooey gooey kind of cheese, but it's not super strong. Your cream cheese is gonna stay nice and smooth once it's heated up, and it gives it a little bit of that like tang from the cream cheese. And then our Monterey Jack has a little bit stronger of a flavor. If you want to go even stronger, you could. You could use a pepper jack if you want to do a spicier one, or just add it in with it. But the mixture of cheese helps it to have a better consistency once it's all heated up. So now we have our cheese mixed together. Look at all of this yumminess. I'm gonna pour it into the bowl. Not all at one time. I'll just do it in some batches so that I can get it all mixed up in there. This little tiny cast iron skillet is my absolute favorite little dish to serve this queso in. But as you can see, the queso recipe makes much more than will fit in this one small little cast iron skillet. So the cool thing is that you can make this ahead of time, and you could use it for multiple different events. Here's our first skillet. We're gonna put this into the oven because I want to show you how ooey and gooey and amazing it is. So into the oven it goes. Some other ideas of dishes that you could use to put your queso into, because it makes a lot, and I suggest you using smaller dishes because this is gonna stay really hot when you take it out until people have enjoyed everything in this small little pie dish. If you put it in a big pie dish, by the time people get to maybe the last half of it, it has now gotten a little bit firmer. It's not that like ooey gooey deliciousness that fresh came out of the oven. So I like to put it in smaller ones because I can leave them in the oven. It keeps it warm. I can also choose how much I want to heat up at one time. If I don't have a big, huge crowd coming over, I don't want to heat all of this up, because there is something to be said about cheese not getting heated up over and over again. What ends up happening is the oil starts to separate out of the cheese, and it just, it's still going to taste delicious. It just isn't gonna look as beautiful. Put it in multiple containers and you can have fresh queso all week long. The book gives you even more details all about it and tells the story and shares more about our community. And here's the beauty of prepping ahead of time. It's one of the things I talk about all of the time when it comes to hosting, is do the work ahead of time so that you can just be fully immersed and enjoy once all of your guests arrive. So I'm gonna pop these into the fridge. They're now ready to go for Super Bowl Sunday. One of the things I love about this particular recipe, it's under the Summer Chili Feed menu. This entire menu, from the queso, which I just showed you how to make, to the homemade cornbread and honey butter, chili, even the roasted yam salad. I know that sounds unique. You need to, let me get to the right picture. You need to try it. It is so flavorful, so delicious, and honestly, it tastes better. It's like how soup, when it sits together longer, the flavors are richer and deeper. Oh, this salad is, it's on our list all summer long. We make it so much. Right now, soon, our queso will be ready to come out of the oven.
Are you ready for this? Look at those bubbles. That's the biggest sign that your queso is ready, when it's bubbling like that. I like to garnish it with some fresh cilantro. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of chili powder on the top as well. But once it's golden and bubbling, that is the clue. It's ready. Go ahead, get a big dip of it. You are going to love it. So we challenge you. Fill your table with delicious food and joy. Because cheese equals joy, right?
And that, my friends, is how you make the delicious homemade creamy queso. And all of the details are in the description below. Links, full recipe, all of that goodness. I loved cooking with you. Can't wait to have you back in the kitchen with us soon.